Hey everybody, I decided to make a tier list of every Aatrox skin, going overly complicated, way too in-depth, with way too much information than anybody could possibly ever use. So much information that even if you don't play League of Legends or Aatrox, or you've never even played a video game in your life, you can learn a life lesson from this video. Before we go into this, I want to remind everyone to like the video, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Thank you all for watching. Moon Aatrox is based on an Oni. An Oni is a kind of yokai, demon, orc, ogre, or troll in Japanese folklore. Oni are mostly known for their fierce and evil nature manifested in their propensity for murder and cannibalism. However, notwithstanding their evil reputation, Oni possess intriguingly complex aspects that cannot be brushed away simply as evil. Now, to me, that does actually sound like a skin that would represent Aatrox pretty well, so I think that aesthetically, this is actually a pretty good fit for him. The bio of the skin says, ancient manuscripts tracking the orbit of the blood moon describe it not as a celestial phenomenon, but as a cosmic womb. As the seasons grow shorter and the cult's activity continue to increase, some worry it will give birth to a new kind of demon, a creature helping to bring about its own dark ascendance. Other games have used Oni in their setting as well, such as Dead by Daylight actually does have an Oni character, so if you like that aesthetic from a game like Dead by Daylight, it's represented fairly well in League of Legends, and you have a character that's very fun to play that you can use this with, so that's nothing but a positive. On to the actual in-game of this skin. What are you actually looking at? Well, everything's going to be red. He's got some sort of samurai armor, he's got that typical Oni waistband rope thing, I don't know what you call it, and you know, everything's just going to be red. Everything's just kind of got like a red flavoring to it. None of his abilities are particularly that unique, and they don't have to be to look good. Everything's just gonna be red, his wings look a little different, and his sword looks pretty actually badass, I'll give him that. Overall, yeah, you're just red, and it looks really good. So are there any positives or are there any negatives to the skin? Well, let me go through that right now. I would say the number one negative, and this is going to sound a little bit weird, but I find it bulky. And obviously it's meant to be bulky, it's an Oni skin. But Aatrox as a character is not really that tanky. He's never meant to be tanky. His other skins are far leaner. This one's bulkier, it's got more mass to it. And it kind of, and maybe this is just a personal gripe, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but it kind of throws me off a little bit because he's just got more mass. He just looks bigger. He looks like a tankier character, but he's not. And as I've been saying, the biggest pro to this skin is the extremely unique visual. You're not going to get another skin that looks like this. This is just going to be totally different than any of his other skins. If you're interested in this look, this Oni look, this is it. Another con is that when you zoom in on this skin, or if you've been staring at it for a while, you'll notice that it doesn't really have that level of detail that a lot of these newer skins have. Now, it is getting up there in age, but it just, when you really look at it and you compare it to some of these newer skins, you're really going to think to yourself, man, this is just, it's not as high def as a lot of these newer ones, and it can leave you wanting. This might sound ironic considering what I just said, but a pro of this skin is that currently it's probably actually his most high-def skin visually, at least from what I can see. I don't have actual numbers in front of me of the pixel count, but at least to me it probably looks like his most up-to-date skin, which is funny because there's actually another skin released afterwards, but we'll get to that later. I would say that's a pro of this skin, then visually it actually looks his most up-to-date. So where would I rank this skin? I would actually say of all these skins, other than his base skin, this one is actually the best. It looks pretty nice. The splash art is completely badass. There's nothing actually overtly wrong with this skin. There's nothing that makes me hate this skin. And honestly, I think anyone that buys this skin would really enjoy it. For Prestige Aatrox, I'm just going to do a brief review. There aren't that many differences. So far as which one do I prefer, they're both about equal, but they're in different ways. One is a higher quality with worse coloring, one is better coloring with slightly worse quality. The visual effects could be hit and miss which ones you prefer. Let's just go over them real quick here. I'm not going to tier it or anything. We're just going to, we're just going to cover the differences. Just looking at it, what are the big differences between Prestige Aatrox and Blood Moon? This sword is a little bit more glowy, it kind of almost has like a Diablo 3 kind of coloring going onto it. Textures are, they're a little bit higher quality from what I've noticed. They just seem to paint the colors. There's a little bit more colorations going on. I don't like the coloring as much. I don't like the prestige colors as much. They do seem like they put a little bit more work into it. So it's sort of like a higher quality version of a worse coloring. As for the actual effects, you can see that they are a bit more shiny, a bit more glowy than they were on the regular Blood Moon. All the voices are the same. All the sound effects are the same. Everything's the same. It's just a pure visual coloring. For his ultimate, it's a little bit more glowy, but you don't get the Blood Moon up top as visually. You do get a little bit more coloration because of the red eyes pop a little bit more. The skin, again, it's a bit higher quality. That seems to be about it for the prestige skin. There's no interesting lore or anything here. He's a fish. It's if Aatrox was a fish. That's it. That's this entire skin. I'm gonna be dead honest with you. There's basically nothing interesting. It is literally, what if Aatrox was a fish? The skin. That's it. What do you want me to say? This skin has no lore, which I'm sure many of you will find shocking. Okay, let's do a dead honest review of this skin then. I kind of actually like the blue. The red does contrast pretty well. You can see this sword there has teeth on it. Those look pretty cool. Again, the blue, it's kind of a nice blue. Reasonably HD as well, like high definition. It's not as blind as some of the earlier skins. It actually, honestly, doesn't look bad. It's kind of good. So far as the wings, that's actually probably the best part of the skin. You can see when you bring out your wings, it's actually got a cool blue into a red. The wings, unfortunately, do not carry over to his ultimate. Yeah, honestly, this skin is not bad. Now, it has no special effects or anything like that. Nothing here is unique. It does have a quirk where you do change color to like a slimy blue when you use your E. Okay, so what are the pros and cons of this skin? Well, the obvious con is that this is a really stupid concept. It's just Aatrox if he was a fish. I don't know why this skin ever got made. The pro is that the blue is a pretty nice blue, yeah. It's also a surprisingly well-made skin. That one can kind of take you by surprise. It's high definition. It's surprisingly well-made. The first time I saw it, I was like, wow, that's actually kind of nice. It also has really nice wings. The red into the blue it's pretty good looking. Unfortunately, as a con, its best attribute, its wings, don't carry over to his ultimate, and his wings and his ultimate just kind of look bland and lame. Where would I rank this skin then? I would give it a solid B tier. This skin is very cheap. It has, once again, it's a unique aesthetic. It has some pretty cool attributes to it. If you're looking to add a skin because you're just bored, this is a solid choice. Cheap, pretty well made. It just has a really dumb concept that doesn't do anything for me. So Justicar Aatrox is not Aatrox before he went crazy, unlike what a lot of people think. The Arclight skin line and the Justicar skin line were merged. So Justicar Aatrox takes place in the Arclight skin line universe. The Arclight lore is once each millennium, an ancient godlike entity descends from the heavens, choosing worthy warriors to be his will incarnate. These beings are the Arclight, immortal agents of the light divine. The Justicar Aatrox bio then reads, chief among the Arclight stand the Justicars, sentinels who serve as living embodiments of justice and order. Aatrox embodies power, for it is his martial prowess that holds the chaos back. So yeah, they are giving him a little bit of a reach around. They're saying, oh, the Justicar, the strongest of the Arclight, and the Arclight are really strong, and Aatrox is the strongest of the Justicar. And, okay, so within this universe, Aatrox is like immensely powerful, but that's just within this universe. This is not the League of Legends regular universe. So no, that is not pre-Darken Aatrox, and maybe down the line they'll do a pre-Darken Aatrox, but that one's not it. However, it is still an angelic-y looking Aatrox, and its wings are oddly reminiscent to something I might have seen in my youth. I'm sorry, Diablo 2 Tyrael. Well, Diablo 2 Tyrael was really, really cool, and let's forget about Diablo 3, but just for me personally, Despite this skin not really being that great, and I'll go into that later, I've always kind of had a soft spot for this skin simply because it does remind me of Tyrael, and honestly, angels are kind of really cool, especially the kind of like combat angels. I just really like that. I have a thing for it, so I might rate it higher just because I have a soft spot for it. So how does Aatrox live up to the angelic precedent I've set him to? Well, he has a voice changer. It's, I would like it a lot more without the voice changer. I'm gonna be honest, it's not the greatest. His Q actually does have some unique sound effects here. Actually, honestly, I actually really enjoy them. I think they're probably the best part about this skin. So far as the wings are concerned, he actually does have some pretty cool wings. The blue wings, they're not exactly Tyrael level. The sword in game is pretty cool with its crystal. Worst part about this skin is the extremely low resolution on the model. You can see this is just, it's just very little detail there.
Always into the east.
So then what are the pros and cons of Justicar Aatrox? Well, the first pro is obvious. It's an angel. Angels are cool. The con is a really bad voice changer. It's not terrible, but it's not particularly good, and it would definitely be better off without it. Another pro is a really cool Q sound. That was hard to say. Really cool Q sound. It just sounds cool. It just kind of has that like angelic-y vibe to it. It's just a cool sound. Going on with that, he just has a pretty cool looking sword. It's different from all the other Aatrox swords. It's this blue crystal. It just looks cool. As a con, and this one detracts heavily, he has a pretty low resolution. It's hard to really enjoy a skin that is that low quality visually. And as a last pro, he is an angel, which is really cool. So what am I gonna give Justicar Aatrox? Okay, I need to be fair. It is very low quality, but it just does some things that you're not really gonna find on any of the other skins. The Q sound effect alone is just so freaking cool. I mean, you have to use this skin. The texture quality is low, and I don't like the voice changer, but damn, dude, just swinging around with those blue explosions, that cool sound effect, the wings, it's pretty cool. For all of that, I gotta give this skin a B tier. No, I won't give it an A tier, but a solid B tier. I use this skin semi-regularly because I actually think it looks that good. The Aatrox rework is a bit of an issue that I'm not really going to get into right now. Suffice it to say, when the Aatrox rework was announced and then previewed, a lot of people didn't really like that it changed his entire gameplay. However, aesthetically, a lot of people actually did enjoy how the new Aatrox looked like. Now, on January 5th, 2018, an anime premiered on Netflix called Devilman Crybaby. In that, the main character, Amon, was this devilishly devil-looking character. Later on January 1st, 2018, so later that year, the Aatrox teaser came out, and the Aatrox teaser looked surprisingly like Amon. It clearly was taking some inspiration from it. Now, it is not a bad thing to be inspired by other media so long as you're not outright stealing it, and I don't believe they outright stole from it. There are obviously some differences between the two, but if I put some pictures side by side, you'll see that the Aatrox art, and definitely his in-game, kinda takes on a lot of similarities from this anime. Now, I did like this anime a lot, so when Aatrox did actually get reworked, despite not liking the gameplay at first, I kinda thought to myself, man, that's actually kinda cool. Now, what a lot of people don't know, or maybe don't remember, or maybe are lying about in order to hate on things more, but when Aatrox's rework was first announced, they put out the model update. The model update was not good. It was definitely not that great, particularly compared to his old model. It did not really look that good. Fortunately, what they did is they listened to community feedback, and after hearing all the negative feedback surrounding his model and how it was kind of coming off as a downgrade, they actually did put forward a lot of updates on it. So if you've ever heard any feedback coming from exactly when it was released that it didn't really look that amazing, well, they actually did. They added more armor, they darkened some of the colors, and it did end up looking a lot better. Now, in addition to that, what they also did is enabled you to toggle the wings on. For those of you who see the little pop-up in game about the wings being toggled on, Aatrox players fought for that. That originally was not added into the game, and because I think a lot of you agree he looks very bare bones and actually bad without the wings toggled on, that the wings toggle was something that drastically improved the quality of his skins and something that we could not have done without. So why was it important for you guys to know all that? Well, because for a lot of you, you don't understand why Aatrox's base model looks so good. It looks so good because people fought for it, they got improvements for it, they got us the really cool looking wings, and that's why this model is one of the coolest looking base models in the game. Fortunately, or unfortunately, I guess depending on how you look on it, there's almost no way to outperform Aatrox's base model simply because people fought for the wings and they fought for the coloration differences. It now has a very nice shade of red as compared to that weird shade it had before. The armor has received more definition. You can see the resolution is a bit higher if you look closer on it. It has better coloring on it as well. The purples and those things strike out a little bit more as well. The animations are still really good. They were always good. The sound effects obviously aren't as good as his skins, but I mean, you know, what are you gonna do? So that's just what happened. People fought really hard to make this skin a lot better, to make it, you know, more comparable to the original version of Aatrox, and this is what we've got. A really nice looking skin with a really nice looking sword, just a really nice everything. It's just a solid visual right now. Now, in addition to all this, and you might notice the song that is playing is from Godric the Grafted. That's because, as far as I can tell, unless there are two voice actors with the same exact name, the person who did the voiceover for the Aatrox rework also did the voiceover for Godric the Grafted from Elden Ring. That's not very important, but it's just something I thought I'd say. I kinda wish we got a cooler character, but I'll take what we can get. I'm not gonna do a pros and cons for the vanilla Aatrox skin because that's just his base skin, that's just how he looks by default. Instead, I'm gonna say that this skin is actually one of the best skins in the entire game. A lot of people seem to hate base skins just because, oh, it's the base one, everyone has that, but in this particular case, I actually think this is potentially his best skin. I actually think, and this is just my opinion, I actually think this is his best skin. That's it. I actually do think it's his best skin. As such, I'm going to give it a rating of S. Anyone who's watched me knows that I use his base skin more so than any of his other ones, and that's partially just because I really like the Devilman Crybaby aesthetic, but it's also just because I think it's his best skin. Of the player base put in a lot of work hounding Riot into making it better, and as such, it's just a really good skin. S tier. Best skin, my opinion. Designated ATRX-1, the Mecha Aatrox unit was developed in response to gliding kaiju with the capability of limited flight. In addition, ATRX-1 wields a thermal blade that can turn residual light particles into a heated cutting edge. Okay, so this skin is obviously just based on giant robot type movies that came out of Japan. In particular, it seems to be based more on Pacific Rim, which came out July 12th, 2013. If you guys remember, or if you don't know, that was a movie about giant robots. The next year, Mecha Aatrox came out, as well as some other mecha skins, and they were all giant robots. That basically seems to be where it was based on. I'm not really going to show much of Pacific Rim because I am afraid of getting this video DMCA'd. But if you just want a little bit of history and backstory, there you go. Now here we actually have the in-game for Mecha Aatrox. It's a bit of an older skin and it didn't really receive any work by Riot. We can see the wings right here don't do that much. It's not really that high textured. It's one of these older low resolution skins, but it does kind of make up for its low resolution by having a neat art direction. I am of course using a chroma. There are a bunch of different chromas for this skin. They're all pretty good. Overall, I would say I don't actually like this skin. It just doesn't do it for me. I'm not really a big fan. You guys say I rarely use it. It has a voice changer. I don't know if it'll play it here. I don't like the voice changer at all. That throws me off from this skin. So far as the abilities, it does actually have unique sound effects. The unique sound effects can be kind of cool. Has unique sound effects for every ability. The sword changes when you use your E as well. The ultimate, Yeah, you can definitely see in the ultimate the low quality, the low poly count, the low pixel count starts really showing off there. Overall, it's okay. I can definitely see why some people like it and some people don't. I personally don't like it, but it's not bad. It has decent art direction. Now, if you wondered why everybody uses it, it's because the Q hitbox on the Q1 isn't quite accurate, and you hit things. I've gone into that a lot before. I'm not going to go into that more now. As for the pros and cons combined of this skin, then, I would say the first thing is a pro. It has 4 amazing chromas. Each of the chromas, and I'm including the base of the skin here, each of the different looks gives it a different vibe. The colors are all nice. I could see myself using all 4 of them. They're all very well done. The first con, is that it just has weak resolution, weak pixels, it's low quality. It's obviously a dated skin at this point. I'm not going to fault them for being a dated skin, but I am going to say that can detract you from it all. However, going to a pro is a nice art direction. What they lack in actual pixel count, they make up for by just having a unified art direction that does make it look like a mecha skin, even if it's something I don't particularly enjoy. Another detriment here is a bad voice changer. I just don't like the I just don't like the robo voice at all. On the pro side of that, the sound effects for this skin are actually pretty well done. They go along with the art direction. They just give you the picture that you're just playing Mecha Aatrox. My personal opinion on this skin is it is a C tier skin. I personally just don't enjoy it at all. I can understand why other people would enjoy it, but me personally, and considering I'm making this tier list, I just don't like it. Here's where I would put my review for Victorious Aatrox. If I didn't get chat restricted, because I don't own it. Plus, it's just a shitty version of Justicar Aatrox anyway. So the Odyssey skin line is a sort of space adventure group where a group of heroes have come together around a mysterious stranger to do things that will inevitably save the universe from the evil empire and crime syndicate and etc. Within this story, Aatrox is not some all-powerful god, but just to read off his bio, Aatrox is a violent and notorious crime lord whose name is feared throughout the criminal underworld. He is also disfigured by aura disease. Seeking to purge the substance from his body, he abducts Templars to abstract it and kills them when they are unable to do so. He has seized a number of high-ranking Templar priests in order to draw out karma, who he believes will finally heal him. Sorry to say to all the Aatrox fans out there, but this storyline and this skin line isn't really based on Aatrox. He forms more of a generic kind of bad guy, and like all these anime or movies that are kind of these space crews roving around who can potentially save the universe with the help of a mysterious stranger and stuff like that, Aatrox is just sort of forming the background criminal syndicate that will inevitably be defeated. This isn't really about him. Now, you might be surprised to know after everything I just said, he doesn't have a single new voice line. That's right, everything Aatrox does is exactly in his old voice line, despite him being a different character, despite him not having any of the same motivations, despite him having more of a space Wild Westy kind of cowboy theme. Everything I just said, you can just totally forget about. The first thing you're gonna note is I'm using a chroma. That's because the skin, in my opinion, pretty much only looks good with this chroma. You could disagree, but that's my opinion, and once again, I am making the tier list. This chroma basically salvages the skin and brings it from pretty bad to actually being halfway decent. This skin has unique sound effects. The sound effects are okay. Every skin seems to have unique sound effects. That's what Aatrox gets, and his are actually, they're decent. I won't call them fantastical, but I mean, once again, they're decent. The ultimate in this skin is neat. Yeah, it's neat. I mean, you might already be telling, nothing about this skin really wows me. If he had a different voiceover, if he was playing a different character, that might make it more unique and cool. As for now, it just seems, yeah, that's all I gotta say about it. I really like the coloring, I really like the rainbow chroma. This really makes the skin pop, and it really actually makes it cool. One thing I will add though, the sword graphic, particularly with this skin, that is gorgeous. That is just gorgeous. Unfortunately, this is what I was talking about earlier. When we look at the actual quality, the pixels, the resolution, when you look at his armor, when you look at his legs, when you look at any of the parts of his body, they are not high quality, which is surprising because this is his newest skin. And so when you compare this to Blood Moon Aatrox, and it doesn't even look better despite coming out nearly 4 years later. Well, okay, 3 years, 2 years, I don't know. It came out later and it didn't really even look that better. A lot of people were looking forward to it. When it finally came out, the thoughts were, yeah, but Blood Moon is better. So what are the pros and cons in total of this skin? I'm just gonna list the con that we're all thinking of. The entire skin is basically mid. Nothing of it other than the sword particularly sticks out. It needs a chroma just to be good, which I'll get into later, but for now it's just such a mid skin. For a new skin, for Riot to be doing a new skin this late in history and it just comes out so mid, that's pretty con. The pro I'll list, I mean I've already said it, is the sword. That sword, particularly in that chroma, that just looks really, that's a good looking sword. Going to a con then, just to list it out then, you need that chroma to make the skin look good. Now just to be clear, Blood Moon Aatrox and Odyssey Aatrox are both the same price, but Odyssey Aatrox needs a chroma to make it good. Blood Moon doesn't have chromas, so if you happen to like some of the other chromas of Odyssey, more power to you. I found that none of them are really that good, and you're just gonna use the rainbow one because it just looks the best. So what tier would I give this skin? I think by default I would give it a C tier. I might even give it a D tier just because of my disappointment of a new skin being this middling, but I'm not gonna weigh its birth date against it. However, if you use the chroma, the combination of the pretty neat alt reset sound, the pretty cool sword, and just the chroma being good, when you use that chroma, I would raise it to a B tier. Wow, this took me a long time to edit. This took me a long time to go through. This took me far longer than I was ever expecting when I started doing this. I hope you all enjoyed this. I decided to do this a little bit more in depth, and I decided to do this way more of a watching the whole thing video to learn. Even if you didn't know anything about Aatrox's skins, I hope you enjoyed this too. So we'll do the tier list in a second. I just want to remind everyone to subscribe to my Patreon because that helps me continue to make these sorts of videos. And you can join as a member, the channel members, the patrons, those guys help me make this video. We'll get to the tier list in 1 second. I just hope everybody has a good rest of your day. And boy, it'd be a real dick move to just sort of end the video before I did the tier list.